to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness in the making. Double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, keys to the city, we unlocking the statements.
Streaming every Friday.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Clovercrest Media presents Keys to the City. We're streaming it all on social media platforms. Subscribe, like, comment, share at Keys to the City. Thank you. New hoodies, like I said, if you want a pair of hoodies, let us know. Message us, black or blue. Let us know as soon as possible. We'll get the next order out for you. What a show we got for you today. We're going to be talking baseball. I know, baseball, right? Remember baseball? It feels like it's been such an eternity since baseball's been gone, but we have our MVPs. We have our Cy Youngs. We'll get into that. And we'll start talking about the New York Yankees offseason. Is DJ LeMahieu the most important priority for this offseason for the Yankees? And what would be the second one? Would it be finding a catcher? I know Joe might go nuts about that. A bullpen? Another bullpen add to it? Or a second pitcher? A second, I won't say ace, but a second solid number two.
Can I add another option? And
What's your
I'm
option?
going to give mine away, but I think they need to add a lefty bat in that line.
Okay, we'll talk about all that, and we'll talk about the NFL. A huge week. Herbert, Tua, Burrow versus Pittsburgh. Can Burrow pull off the upset? Maybe, who knows, if Big Ben plays? And the Giants. Can the Giants be maybe within grasp of first place in the NFC East against those Philadelphia Eagles once again? But Joseph Aguirre, come on in and join us, please, as always.
Did somebody say baseball?
I said baseball, but Joe, that's in the past. When we talk baseball, you're on forever. You're on regularly. It's not just baseball anymore. You're on. You used to be the baseball guy with us, but now
I still love it.
Of course. But you have turned into a part of the Keys to the City family, so you're part of the show. You're like he's part of the tripod now. We got a tripod. So I'll consider you part of the tripod.
I got the hair and the beard.
We got beautiful hair. Ted doesn't have a beard. He's just got his little patchy goatee, but it's okay. We'll deal with it. So let's get into baseball because, baseball had their award shows, and once again, Yankee fans could look at the reactions, see the results, and once again be disappointed. And DJ for MVP, yet again, comes up short in 2020. And we talk about baseball players. There's a lot of good baseball players. We always talk about Mike Trout, and I know Joe always gets frustrated with that, but I get it. We always talk about Jacob deGrom. We talk about the best of the best. Well, when are we going to start putting DJ LeMahieu up for the best of the best? Because to me, call me crazy. For anybody that's watching, call me crazy. I feel as though DJ LeMahieu has been the best and the most consistent batter the past 2 years in the AL. I would say AL. He's been the best player in the AL just because of his consistency, what he's done for this Yankees lineup, the clutch factor, just being consistent all around. So you see Jose Abreu. I really thought DJ had a better chance than last year. I know Mike Trout was in it last year and Marcus Semien for the A's, but this year seemed wide open with Abreu, Jose Ramirez, and DJ. I really thought he was going to win it. It's just frustrating as a Yankee fan because I really feel that Yankee fans don't get to ever see an MVP because it's just the New York Yankees. They're just not going to give it. Joe, what's your take on this whole thing? And then, Ted, I'll bring it back to you.
Well, yeah, you're exactly right. And I think one could argue that really since 2015, 2016, he's been one of the better players in the game. The last 2 years, he's been one of the elite players in the game. The idea that you can go out there and become the first guy in history to win a batting title in both leagues. You play a Gold Glove winning second base. You lose to a first baseman. I could live with Ramirez in the third base. If you told me Ramirez wins because of defense, all right, I could live with that. I mean, Abreu's a pretty good first baseman. I certainly don't think he's the best one in baseball. I think when you look at the numbers, all things considered, and this is why I'm so upset about who came in fifth. When you look at the clutch numbers, none of these guys comes close to the production of DJ LeMahieu. Few people in baseball do. And the guy who came in fifth doesn't even come close to any of these people. And I don't know why we continue to act like he's some big superstar.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised with Voit finished where we were talking about, pre-show, where Voit finished compared to everyone else. I thought he had a legit chance to be in the MVP top five. You know what I mean? Listen, Abreu played in all 60 games, so credit for him first. Now he batted .317. He had 19 home runs. He led the major leagues with 60 home runs. So
60 RBIs.
60 RBIs. What is it?
60 home runs in 60 games. Wow, home run in every game.
That would have been impressive, John.
That would have been really impressive.
Yeah, right.
Only video game stats.
What is that, Joe and wiffle ball?
Here's the thing, though, and we are biased because I watch all the Yankee games. I don't watch the White Sox, and usually they're not on national television, so you don't get to appreciate Jose Abreu.
Aren't we tired of it? I mean, we saw Judge. Judge didn't win it in 17. Now we saw DJ last year, and then this year.
That was something else.
Jeter back when Morneau won. I mean, when are we going to get our chances?
I think, first of all, there's an expectation when you play for the Yankees that your numbers are supposed to be greater than great. You know what I mean? You like, even if they're good, they have to be better than that. Because you're a Yankee, so you're held at a higher standard than someone.
Well, look at all look at all that Yankee team. He outshines all of them. Judge, Stanton, Gleyber, Sanchez. He outshines all of them.
Statistically, he does. The name does it, and that doesn't help. And it doesn't. I don't think he gets the respect. Now, he will get it, hopefully, in this free agency, and we'll find out what the Yankees do choose to do with him, because there's a lot of teams looking for his ability to play multiple positions and hit and lead off. But if you just look at DJ LeMahieu in a small sphere, you got to understand that the Yankees, again, for the second year in a row, dealt with multiple injuries. Stanton missed most of the season. Judge missed most of the season. Gleyber had an awful season this year. A guy who was a considered MVP candidate last year had an awful season. Sanchez wasn't even around this season. I don't think he played. So when you just put the 4 or 5 big names of the Yankees,
he was physically there. He just wasn't
physically there. But
he just wasn't there, Joe.
But when you look, if you really look at the game in itself, and you look at the Yankees, you're like, when you name off the 5 big time hitters of the Yankees, those are the guys you just named: Stanton, Judge, Gleyber, Sanchez. Hicks was out, and then you appreciate what DJ LeMahieu does. He has to lead off for the Yankees. He gets on base. Well, he bats .364. He produces home runs. He had the most leadoff home runs, I believe, in the season this year of anyone in the season. You know, just his whole – and then the ability to play second, third, first base, whatever the team needs, has to add so much more value than the guy just catching the ball at first base. Well, he changes the game at second base.
Let me ask you a quick question, and then you can go on your run here. I've seen a lot of Yankee fans suggest that the Yankees get rid of Gary Sanchez, package up Giancarlo Stanton, and let DJ LeMahieu go, right? So they can maybe go get Lindor.
Yeah.
Who really sees the Yankees
doing all that,
blowing up a team that like 4 years in a row has been knocking on the door of a championship? Yeah. You're like, get rid of everybody.
No,
I mean, this is the mentality of people you're dealing with.
This team just needs a couple tweaks, because what's with this team right now isn't good enough. And it's not a major move. It's just something small. It might be still keep Gary Sanchez, but the question is, will Yankees want to pay him his arbitration of $6.5 million? They could probably get someone lower, but we'll see, because he's not going to get the same trade value that he would get 2 years ago.
Yeah, but could you argue that there's no one else in baseball you could sign for $6.5 million that could hit like 280 and hit 45 home runs next year? I mean, literally, there's nobody else on the planet who you could expect at that price to produce that at that level. Who's available?
I think DJ's the most important player on the Yankees, because Trevor made his argument at the beginning of the season that he thought DJ LeMahieu was the most important player on the Yankees because of the value he has defensively and what he does as a leadoff hitter.
I want to just first say congratulations to all the award winners: Trevor, Bauer, Shane Bieber, Jose Abreu, Freddie Freeman as well. A surprise there. I didn't think Freddie Freeman would win that. I thought Mookie would have, but congratulations. Also, Donnie Baseball for Manager of the Year, and Kevin Cash as Manager of the Year.
I just want to say one other thing.
Shout out to all the award winners, well deserving in a difficult season. You managed to finish off the entire season, and congratulations. Add a little hardware to your
the other thing about LeMahieu, and I didn't throw in my little thing, was LeMahieu also dealt with COVID.
Yeah, he did too.
So he missed 10 games this season. So
he came back and like nothing ever happened.
So what would it say if he had another 2 weeks of baseball? Would his numbers be even greater, and would he have had a legit chance to take over the position?
This is what I was going to say, because the Yankees, we've understood the Yankees are right there. The past couple of years, they're right there. But it's always been something. It's always been, well, we didn't have the ace pitcher. Well, we went out and got Garrett Cole. What is it this year? There's a lot of question marks this year, because we don't even know if we're going to have a manager by next year. Like, after this upcoming season. Because what if the Yankees fall short again? What happens with Boone? So that's a thing going forward. You look at the priorities. Bullpen is a must. Go at it. Tommy K is going to be gone. I don't know about Ottavino. Maybe they look to try to trade him. They're going to have to go find another bullpen piece. Catcher, I know, Joe, you might go crazy, but it's a realistic possibility that the Yankees try to look for other options. Yadier Molina.
But you're already starting to talk about a major upheaval of a roster where your sensible brother's tweaking. Well, now you're talking about adding bullpen pieces, trading out of Vino. You're talking about, right, maybe doing something with the catching position. You certainly know you need to do something with the starting pitching. I think, and I'm glad Ted brought this up because I think this needs to be addressed. A left-handed bat in the middle of this really heavily dominated right-handed lineup. Again, listen, I'll tell you what I would do. You give me Trevor Bauer and the same dudes, I'll go back right now and I'll kick Tampa's ass, guaranteed.
That'd be great. I mean,
I would need you give me Trevor Bauer and the same dudes.
Yeah, same team.
And we'll go take care of business in 4 games.
Is DJ the most important priority option?
1,000%. I would give DJ LeMahieu a 6-year deal if that's what he told me he needed to stay. We don't like to give 32-year-olds 6-year deals, but if there's a guy who I think would be worth giving a long-term deal to at 32, it's a guy like that who takes his job very seriously, obviously, who's got the build of a third baseman, but plays like a second baseman. So yeah, I don't care what the $30 million a year. Okay. If someone's offering 29, I'll give him 30.
So Joe, I'm going to let Trev go right after this, but I don't know if Trev passed this on to you, but yes, you know, I always watch the Michael Kay show, usually at 3:00. I like to see what he always seems to have a little bit more inside scoop because he's with the Yankees. So I don't know if you read this too, but the Yankees are listening to offers for Gary Sanchez. Doesn't mean they're going to trade, but that was a true. I know, not a big deal.
Is he going to follow?
No, and that was a true thing.
They'll take offers on anybody. I would imagine they wouldn't.
It wasn't just the New York Times reported, but ESPN confirmed it too that the Yankees were listening to offers for Sanchez. Now, Joe, you'll laugh at this one, and I'll let Trev do what he's got to do, but I thought this was kind of crazy. There was a rumor, and the rumors are great right around this time, the hot stove, that Yadier Molina, at 38 years old, is willing to come over to the Yankees. Now, we know what type of defensive catcher he is. Phenomenal, Hall of Fame but at 38 years old, what are you looking to pay him?
Maybe they transition Gary to out of catcher. I mean, I know he's still
Stop talking.
So, but no, that's
okay.
I'll tell you what I would do. I'll tell you what I would do. Can I tell you what I would do right now? I'll tell you right now. I'll go out there. I would sign Jose Molina to 2 years at the minimal dollars he would take.
That's what he wants. He wants 2 years. He wants 2 years at 38 for not that much, but that's what was the rumor. He wanted 2 years. He was looking at the Yankees. And the only other thing was the Yankees were listening. There was all rumor, hot stove, and it's just that the Yankees want to see what teams are willing to offer because they're saying the Yankees are not going to pay Realmuto because he's looking for 5 years. I heard this all the Realmuto's looking for 5 years. LeMahieu's looking for 4 years and around $100 million. Okay,
give it to him.
And then now the question will be is how much will Mets and Steve Cohen play into effect against the Yankees because for the first time in a long time, the Wilpons were cheap. With everything that happened with Bernie Madoff, they lost a lot of money and they were cheap. They were not a normal New York team if you knew anything about the Mets. Steve Cohen's got a lot of money. Now, he said he's not going to just go crazy with spending money because he wants to build within. But if DJ LeMahieu's sitting there free agency, he might push the button to say, hey, Yankees, I'm going to give him 4 years, 25. What do you know what I mean? Just kind of like one up each other. So it'll be a fun offseason. I'm telling you, I think baseball, as much as there's not as many big free agents, I think the importance of the big teams coming off of this 60-game season is going to be really intriguing, especially with Bauer, DJ, and George Springer, who's already said he wants to play closer at home.
If I'm JT Realmuto, I would wait as long as humanly possible and make other people make their moves first.
Well, that's what Harper did in Machado, right? Didn't they wait like to the last minute?
Yeah, we had shows until freaking February, March. The season was starting, and Machado and Harper were still not signed.
And they got big money.
And then it finally happened. They got their big money. Like with DJ's most important just because I told you this a couple of years ago when the Yankees made the switch of Gardner with LeMahieu. The offense took off. The offense was different. Look at the offense this postseason against the Rays. DJ stunk. He wasn't good. And that was a concerning factor for me because everything starts with DJ LeMahieu. Literally. Everything starts with him. If your best hitter, your most consistent hitter, isn't getting on base, that's going to be a troubling sign for the series to come. And you know, in a lineup full of big-time guys that can hit for home runs, hit for power, you see your best and most consistent hitter who's always, it seems like, always on base, couldn't get on base. That was troubling. I know the Yankees are still in it, but can you imagine if DJ had those moments where he was big? He didn't bat well. Like in past postseasons, he's done well with the Yankees. The past series against the Twins, he was all right. Against the Rays, he wasn't good, or the Indians, I should say. He wasn't good against the Rays. Can you imagine, though, if he was?
Well, I mean, to be fair,
is that because you hold him to a higher standard, though?
You do, because listen, he hit 273 against Tampa with a 320 on base percentage. He hit 300 versus the Indians with a 364 on base percentage. Now, last year against Houston, he hit 346 in that series with a 414. So it's perception. Listen, he wasn't the problem in the series. I told you exactly which Yankee offensively is the guy I hold most responsible. He's the right fielder with his own section in right field. That's the guy who let the Yankees down the most to me this offseason.
He was the problem, LeMahieu. It was just a concerning thing to see because, well, he's been our most consistent, probably our best player for the past 2 years. So to see him like not have the level of like how he's been, which has been up here since coming to the Bronx, it was just a concerning sign. I know, like Judge, you're gonna have Judge have his days, you're gonna have Stanton have his days, but LeMahieu seems like he gets on base all the time, or at least half of the time.
Like you said, the perception is so high on him. And you see him during the regular season, then when he doesn't get on base every time in the postseason, there's like, oh, what's wrong with him? Listen, guys, get out. I mean, listen. Think about 1 out of every 3 at bats. You're getting on base. The other 2, you're out. So
we all agree DJ is the top priority for the New York Yankees this offseason. What will we say is the second most important of those 3 right now? Bullpen, catcher, starting pitcher. Is it easy? Are we all going to agree on this one too?
I think for me it's easy. It's starting pitcher because if you saw it, the Dodgers won the World Series with 2 aces. That's it.
That's what I said.
It was help me out, Bauer, and it was Kershaw, and that was it. And then they mixed and matched the 3rd and 4th. And if you remember when the Yankees last time they won the World Series, they did it with 3 stars. It was CCAG, Burnett, and help me out, guys.
Andy Pettitte.
Was Andy Pettitte the 3rd pitcher on that team? AJ Burnett.
When they won the World Series? When they won the World Series?
In 09.
Andy Pettitte was pitching.
Yeah, Pettitte.
Okay, so I think he was was he game 6? Was he the one that beat Pedro? Was he the clincher to win?
But all I know is we did it with 3 pitchers then, okay? Yeah. And the Dodgers did it with 2, and then they just mix-matched friggin' their bullpen and open starters and the way the year went. Now, don't forget, also games were played like 5 straight days in a row, which doesn't happen in a normal playoff series. So that's another factor. But I'm saying this: if you said what Joe said before and you repeat it and say, "Listen, you bring in Trevor Bauer and say, let's go, Tampa, let's mix and match now." Now we're good because you know you got Cole, and you know Cole's the best pitcher walking out on the baseball mound. Yep. All right. And then you bring in Bauer, who just has everything. He has the moxie. He has the pitch and stuff, and he's not scared of the moment. And you're like, all right, here's number 2. Now we're talking down the road. You bring in Severino as your 3rd. There you go. Now you take the rest of your guys, Montgomery and Devi Garcia, and you put them in as your open starters, your spot starters like the Dodgers did, and you fill them in with Ottavino and Britton and Chapman and whoever else that you want to mix and match. Game's over.
That's the problem.
At least that's how I see it.
And that's why the starting pitching, like I said, we're all in agreement on this. The starting pitching next because we don't know what Severino's going to be like when he comes back. We can only hope that he's the Severino that we all expect him to be, which was the almost 20 game. Was he a 20-game winner? Was he close? He was a 20,
I think he was 19.
20-game winner,
19
right?
games. I think he went 19-9.
So we know what Severino is. We know what he was. He was a great pitcher. I know he's coming back from Tommy John. We can only hope that he comes back and pitches to that. Tanaka, are we going to sign him? Paxton looks like he's gone half as well. Debbie Garcia is so young. We're going to be fine with him. And then Montgomery, last time we saw him, pitched the game of his life. So the Yankees definitely need a number 2 because we don't know the question marks surrounding Severino soon when he comes back from Tommy John. And we know what he was when he comes back from a serious pitching thing.
Why? Again, but see, when this is anybody,
No,
this is Chris Sale, if this is anybody else, you would be like, well, they'll be back, they'll be fine.
I'm like every other Yankee fan that says, oh, Chris Sale's going to come back, he's going to be fine. No, Chris Sale gets injured. I'm going to see if he's going to come back and be pitch well. He hasn't. Clayton Kershaw. I'm on Clayton Kershaw all the time. When he gets injured, I want to see if he's going to come back to the same. It's not just Luis Severino. It's every pitcher that I'm like that with. I'm not these dumb, idiotic Yankee fans like, oh, well, Severino, we don't know if he's going to come back and be the same. Like, I want him to be the same because I know what he was.
Why wouldn't he be, though? What would make you think that he would come back and not?
It's like saying the Kevin Durant thing. You want to see Kevin Durant come.
Hold on. It's not the same injury.
I know.
It's not the same injury.
Hold on, please. Hold on. Kevin Durant sustained a serious Achilles injury.
That's different for a basketball.
I know, but a pitching. You think about the Tommy John pitching.
That's normal. That's like an ACL.
I know,
in football.
but everybody reacts differently to it. Everybody reacts differently.
Some pitchers have come back stronger.
We hope Kevin Durant comes back and performs like a top 2 player in the world, like he is. We hope that Luis Severino comes back and pitches like a top 10, top 5 ace that we know he could be. That's what I'm hoping for Severino. Because if he comes back and he pitches lights out, then okay, we're good. But if he comes back, he craps the bed, then what are we gonna say?
Well, that's because of his stuff. It won't be because of the surgery.
And that's for every pitcher, Joe. I'm not putting it specifically because I'm a Yankee guy. That's for when Chris Sale has injuries. If I was a Red Sox fan at the time, I was nervous because of that.
But then shouldn't the expectation be that he'll be back, he'll be a stud, which when he got hurt and came back last year, he was. Right, he came back and pitched great at the end of the year and into the postseason.
Most of these guys do. Look at DeGrom. Right. Did anyone see the picture? Syndergaard's pitching with no shirt on, which I don't understand what he's doing. I think he's just trying to show off his muscles. But
he's Thor, bro.
But he's already cranking up the heat. All right, like the Tommy John surgery is not that big of a deal no more. And it seems stupid to say that, considering I've never had that. But it's almost, they say this. They said this a couple years ago. I remember listening to Michael Kay in the game. They were saying, by the time a kid starts his pitching career in the youth baseball and goes up to the minor league season, he will probably have at least one Tommy John surgery under his belt, just because that's the nature of the ball game now in the world.
I've seen where they're saying kids in high school are purposely trying to blow their arm out to get it, or just preemptively having it.
Because I heard it actually could make some of the guys come back stronger. Now, we don't know how, and Trevor makes a great point. You don't know how he's going to react afterwards. You have the expectation that he will come back stronger and be just as good. But if he doesn't, that's going to be hurt. But here's the thing. I'll take 90% of Severino, then I'll take a lot of other guys at 100%. Because you know he can be good. The question will be, can he?
Well, you got to also remember, before he got the Tommy John surgery, he came in looking great, but didn't he have like other issues before the Tommy John? He had back or something, or what was it? He had tightness and stuff like that throughout. So we all thought like he was dealing with injury. We never got to really see him come in because we were excited. As all Yankee fans, we were really, really excited to see Garrett Cole and Luis Severino as your 1-2.
Well, let me tell you what happened. Severino should have had that surgery about a year ago.
Sooner.
I would say about a year and a half ago. He should have had that surgery, and they decided to rehab by resting and then by stretching him back out.
Tanaka never had the surgery.
And that was
Tanaka did the rehab thing, remember?
Right.
Tanaka still never got the surgery. And that's another
question. And it worked for Tanaka. It worked for Tanaka. Unfortunately for Sevy, it never got right. And now the surgery fixes this.
I just think because Sevy throws 99 and Tanaka doesn't.
Yeah.
And the big
that's what happened with Syndergaard too. Syndergaard is another guy. He throws a lot of heat. He throws a lot of fastballs.
And we're talking about all this pitch and stuff, but we totally even mentioned, do the Yankees bring back Tanaka? And what type of deal
I see him retiring as a Yankee. I see him taking one more contract with the Yankees and retiring. I don't see him in another.
Not unless someone offers him money.
I guess.
Because money at the end of the day will speak, and you don't know where the Major League Baseball will be in 2 years because of this COVID.
I'm more nervous.
If there is no fans next year, baseball will be in, and like any other sport, and the world will be.
I'm more nervous the factor that Yankees could lose DJ, and then what are they going to do? Then they're going to go trade for Lindor, which is. I get more nervous.
Which isn't the worst thing in the world because you're going to get a switch hitter, younger hitter.
Yeah, but you got to who you're trading.
You move. First of all, did you not? Oh, I was listening to Michael Kay the other day talking. You take one of your younger guns in the pitching staff. You can move one of the outfielders. They have plenty of position players you can move. You move Glaber over to second where he's better at. We all know he's a better second baseman than he is a shortstop. You put a Gold Glove shortstop right then and there. Up the middle should be your strongest point. If you know anything about baseball, it should go catcher, shortstop, center field should be your three most important, strongest position players on the field at all times. That's how it should be. Your catcher should be your dominant leader. Your shortstop should be your best infielder, and your center fielder. That's how it's always been in baseball. Legitimately, your center fielder usually is your best outfielder, all-around best outfielder. Usually, your right fielder has the strongest arm, and your left fielder is just a consistent, guy. That's how it is. Third baseman's got a cannon. Shortstop.
I don't see the Yankees doing that, going for Lindor, but it would be such a Yankee move if they decided.
I think it wouldn't be the worst move. And people who
bash it depends on if they keep DJ. If they keep DJ, they're out of the Lindor sweepstakes.
Yes,
I would 100%.
Well,
agree
listen,
with that.
Sure. Look, first and foremost, this idea that the Yankees are going to go out. Why would you go out and trade assets to get Lindor?
Because
if he's going to be a free agent next season, it costs you nothing but money to go get him next year.
Because if you're why do the Dodgers do it? Because you want to win a World Series, you want to get better. Why do the Dodgers need to get Mookie Betts when you have Cody Bellinger in right field?
They didn't need to get Mookie Betts, but now they've made the decision by signing Mookie that somebody's going. Somebody's got to leave the Dodgers. The Dodgers can't keep everybody there. The Dodgers are going to have to say goodbye to Justin Turner most likely.
No, they're going to re-sign him, they said. They're looking to actually flip.
There's a salary cap, and the Dodgers are really pushing the buttons. When you have multiple guys making $30 million a year, it adds up quick.
I heard they were looking to get Seager. Joe, they were looking to move Seager, which they were because they're in the sweepstakes for Lindor.
There you go.
Because what are you going to pay him $300 million? See, the whole thing with the Yankees thing is, if you do sign Lindor, get Lindor. Now, I don't know if you guys know this. Gio Urshela is his best friend, and now you're talking about your left-sided infield, Gold Glove for the next 7 to 10 years. Gio and Lindor, boom, you're solidified. Mm-hmm. You move Glaber to second base. He is better at second base. We know that. It's not even an argument. You can't argue that he's better at shortstop at second. He's not. He's a better second baseman.
But is that only because he's been exclusively playing just there for the last 3 years before he went back over? Because he's a shortstop by trade. I mean, Glaber's the shortstop.
But you could tell he was very uncomfortable playing. Now, of course, you can get better. But if you're telling me get better or have Lindor right now at 28 years old, because at arbitration right now, he's only at $22 million. That's a steal for this year. And if you're the Yankees, that's the type of player that puts you over the top. Okay, he's a difference maker for the next 10 years. He becomes another face of the franchise. It's a move for the Yankees. And here's the thing. It's called rags to riches. If you're rich and you have abundance of things, like you said, Joe, why do you really need to get Lindor when you already have this? Well, because what's there is not good enough. So if DJ ends up walking and going, say, like the Mets, say the Mets overpay for him, give him 4 years, $125 million or $120, I'll bid the Yankees. You got to bring someone in. You have to bring someone in. I don't think a guy off the bench or a second kind of class citizen to play second base is going to work for the Yankees to make that much of a difference. I like Lindor because his switch hitting ability to steal, Gold Glove at shortstop. And then you hope that everyone else performs to where you expect. Sanchez gets back to that 240 thing. Judge gets back to a healthier. Stan plays like he does in the playoffs. Hicks is healthy for a full season. You bring it back Severino. And then you have the rest of the team with Voit at first and Gio at third. You know you got your glove game. And you could flip in Duhar. You could flip one of the young guys, pitching staffs. You can give one of all these guys. They're like, Joe always talks about it, all these young prospects. Oh, they're so good for it. This guy, that guy. They're never going to play on the Yankees. They're not going to play over the Yankees. They're not playing over Clint Frazier. They're not playing over Judge. They're not playing over Hicks. So move them. You have an abundance of talent there. All this talent don't mean shit if you can't play in the game and you're not performing. You actually have to perform and be there. Flip them. Get a guy that's a Gold Glove superstar, all-star right now, and he could be the face of your Yankees because you don't know if Judge is going to be the face of the franchise for the next 5 years. You don't. The biggest question is if you have to pay Lindor, what are you going to do with Judge knowing you already have Stanton on the books, you have Cole on the books, and then you would have to pay Judge, and that's a big amount. That's 4 guys. You're talking $200+ million for a team that wants to get under the salary cap.
Right. Don't forget your two closers that are pulling in about $30 million combined.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
talk about Francisco Lindor for a minute, who burst on the scene as a 300 hitter, right? A pretty good shortstop. In 2017, the home runs jumped to 33, and that's when the 300 average dipped into the 270s. And as the home runs have risen, the batting average has been dropping. He hit 284 last season. He hit 258 this season. His average has literally dropped at least 10 points down every single season he's been in the league. Do I want to pay this guy $30 million a year for 10 years? No, I really don't. And I understand he's a proven commodity, but to me, I feel like the peak's been reached here with Lindor. I don't know that he's going to get much better than this, and I only see this batting average getting worse. So that's a concern for me.
Sure.
Again, Gleyber Torres. Listen,
Didi.
Let's give Gleyber Torres a spring training where he gets to play some shortstop and work out some of the kinks. Same thing for Gary Sanchez.
It's just interesting to see
it sure is, but look, you're still talking about 2 guys under club control for 6 more years combined.
Oh, I agree.
Making, like I said, you're not. When you look at the potential that Gary Sanchez has at $6.5 million with his arbitration number next year,
yep.
And when you think about what that guy is capable of doing, that would be the biggest steal of $6.5 million ever. There's not another guy available that you could give that money to that would take $6.5 million, who could produce like Gary Sanchez could, assuming he works things out. Now, does he have to work things out? Yeah, in a big way. He's under club control for 2 more years. The idea you wouldn't non-tender Gary Sanchez at $6.5 million in today's baseball is lunacy.
They actually said they would because of the Yankees trying to cut salary. And for a guy that's
$6.5 million is nothing.
I'm surprised he gets paid that much
in the grand scheme of things.
The arbitration number is the Yankees could fight it, but
I would have given him.
But here's the thing: his value is killed right now, and is he going to be the starting catcher? Because in the 2 most important games in the playoffs, he rode the bench,
and they lost both games.
Well, not because of the backup catcher,
but they lost both games. Is the point? So that wasn't. If they won both games, you'd be like, well. Gosh, when Yoka's back there, they win, but they don't. But they won more games than they lost when Sanchez was catching. So again, maybe the analytics people are a little bit wrong. Maybe the people that are developing all this crap, all this. I mean, dude, do they win when he's catching? Yes or no? Has he taken them to the cusp of a championship every year he's been there? Yeah. You don't like it because he doesn't hit 300? Sorry.
Doesn't even hit 200. Mind you, 150.
Sorry. Still hit more home runs than any other catcher in baseball this year, though, didn't he?
I'm surprised he's making $6 million. I thought he'd be less.
It's just the way the arbitration works.
I get him for a penny. Anyways.
Dude, don't forget this, though, Smarty Pants. When this guy was ripping the cover off the ball his first 3 years and everybody wanted to love him, he was making about $650,000.
That's what he should be making.
You know what's funny, Joe? So was Judge. That's funny. They were both doing great
when they were making peanuts. And it just goes to show you when you give these guys a little bit of money.
And that's what kills me, because both of those guys you thought were going to be like Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig for the next 10 years. You were going to have. And they've gotten worse since their rookie seasons. Sanchez rookie season, Judge rookie seasons was their peak, and you just said that with Lindor, they have all gone down drastically each and every year since that. Now Judge's injuries too, but I mean that's part of the game, because your best ability is availability, and if you're not on the field and you're hurt all the time, that's going to affect your play, especially in baseball when you need constant reps.
Could affect your future, too.
Don't forget, Gary and Aaron are still ranked 2nd and 3rd in the history of baseball as far as home runs per game played is going at this point.
You're giving me an analytic.
It's worth noting. it's worth noting the historic power that the two of these guys have. And again, it's stunning to me that there's people like, get rid of this one, and I don't know about that one. I mean, here's the thing. If Francisco Lindor comes to the Yankees and he has a season like, say, Giancarlo Stanton's first season in New York, you will all hate him.
Oh, I know. Because that's the expectation as a Yankee fan. Just like Abreu and any other big-time guy that walked into the Yankees organization since I've been alive, that anytime big guy that walks in and does not perform like we expect, we bash him. And we boo him on the third day. Just who did I boo? Stan? Yeah.
I said, give me a break.
But because you see him in a Miami uniform smashing the ball, and then you come watch him at a Yankee on a daily basis, you're like, 0 for 6, huh? In 2 straight games, 5 Ks. One ground ball.
Listen,
it happens.
Get me LeMahieu. Bring me LeMahieu back.
Absolutely.
Okay. Get me LeMahieu back.
Trade me Sanchez.
Give me Trevor Bauer, and we're done. We're done. I'll take on anybody next season. You give me DJ back. Throw me Bauer. We're golden. We're golden, and we're rolling at that point.
Can we bring Yadier in?
I'm good with Yadier.
Can we bring Yadier to the defense and have Kyle as their starter?
I'll take that.
I would love it if the Yankees signed Yadier Molina, and I would love it if he split time with Gary Sanchez, because I think sitting next to Molina makes you a better catcher. Doesn't even talk. There's so much oozing out of him that just being near him, you're like, oh my God, I'm a better catcher. It just would happen. So that would be a smart move. And not for nothing, if you sign him to 2, you've got both. And if Gary Sanchez is so horrible this year, you could non-tender him after this coming season in 2021, and you still have Yadier as your starter for one more season.
Gary, if Gary has another bad year, are you going to still love him? Like
Trev, listen.
I've ever seen in my life.
That's a great.
Did you see what Jay said?
No, I don't. Jace picked the Giants to win every game this season, so we're not worried about.
I don't even think Gary Sanchez's mother likes Sanchez as much as Joe.
I've never seen a man love a baseball player as much as you have.
Let me say this.
Down with him, man.
Let me say this.
Guys that do.
Clock's ticking. The clock's ticking.
It's already broken.
Listen, it's not. It's not. I swear to God, don't make me come over there today.
You lost 3 freaking bets to me because of Gary Sanchez. When are you going to give up with it?
He's not. When I win them all back.
Never.
Yeah.
You want to move on to some football? We got a whole lot more to talk about.
I do. Let me just say one last thing. The reason I defend Gary Sanchez so much is, and I've stated this also, I won't go too nuts on it, but you keep messing with his catching style. He's one of the few Yankees who, when he's not hitting, gets punished by getting pushed down in the batting order. I mean, Aaron Judge could go 0 for 30, and he's hitting second every night. Okay,
I agree.
Sure, because that makes sense. But whatever. He's the only guy on this team that they treat this poorly. He's a guy who was underpaid all of his all-star years. Again, he's the guy that led this youth movement to begin with and is the reason why we are where we are today. Every single year he's been the starting catcher, they've gotten to the American League Championship Series. I mean, it should tell you something. It should tell you something.
Yeah, the team around him is great.
The team around him is great. You're absolutely right. So I mean, again, you guys all want, everybody wants to go out and spend $20 million a year on Romalto.
No.
I don't mean you guys. I don't mean you guys. But again, any upgrade over Sanchez is going to be costly. I've seen a guy who I think is an amazing catcher, just a super talented guy, and a great clubhouse presence and teammate. If the Yankees can't fix this guy, okay.
I tell you, Yadier Molina and Trevor Bauer would correct that locker room real quick, because those guys don't think no.
Whatever. They're going to come to New York and take over my locker room with Stanton and Cole already in there? I don't think so. They'd be in the corner not talking.
Well, first of all, Trevor Bauer would and Cole would be running the pitching staff, And I'm telling you, Yadier and Molina having the 2 World Series rings.
Oh, I thought you were about Lindor. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. And I think Yadier and Molina would walk in at 30 years old and hold a certain presence that would hold a lot of value for Gary Sanchez and a lot of the younger players. And
listen, I'm open to any realistic upgrades the Yankees can make.
Of course, because we want to, that's all we want to do.
But I understand that there's a budget in mind here, and that we can't just spend Hal's money frivolously. We're going to do this, and then we're going to go get Lindor, and then we're going to extend Lindor for $300 million. I don't know that that's necessarily in the cards. You've got a top pick shortstop, stud prospect in Glaber, who's at the position he was supposed to be at. He'll be fine. Same thing with Gary. This is on the Yankees franchise to get these 2 guys defensively better. Because if they can fix the both of them, then the problem is Jesus, how are we going to afford all of these guys? Nobody needs Francisco Lindor. Sorry, just don't need him. It's not worth the investment, in my opinion.
Well, the Dodgers are going to go get him, which I couldn't believe they were even thinking about because you just had Corey Seager won the World Series MVP.
There's a lot more to talk about with the MLB.
Yeah, what's the hot stove?
Nothing's happened yet, but it's all rumors as everything gets going. Look at the NBA. There's a bunch of rumors going on in the NBA right now with some big name players. Until it happens, we'll be the first to report it for you. This is Keys of the City.
Well, don't worry. We'll be doing a show.
Your first breaking report.
When Gary Sanchez gets traded. Joe, we're doing a show.
Oh, we're breaking it. When Gary Sanchez gets traded, we might have a freaking party.
Joe's gonna cry.
Joe will be crying in the corner.
If the Yankees trade Gary Sanchez, then that'll be my new favorite team.
Are you not going to be a Yankee fan?
Yeah, I'm going to follow Gary.
Okay, good luck.
Because I like him that. I mean, give me a break. I don't even own.
You're going to go to the Angels and play with
own nothing. I own nothing of Gary Sanchez. There's not a jersey. There's not a plaque. I got nothing on him. Nothing.
He's going to go play with Mike Trout, and you're going to be an Angels fan. You're going to root for Mike Trout.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Anyways, let's get over to the gridiron. And we've bashed the New York Giants a lot this year. We've talked about them each and every week. But when you look at it and you watch TV and you see what's going on with the New York Giants, they've actually been improving each and every week. So the question is, are the Giants actually the best team in the NFC right now? NFC East, I should say. I'm sorry.
Yes,
not the NFC. The NFC East, I don't want people correcting me with a mistake like that. The NFC East. You think about the Giants this year. They've been up and down. They've got embarrassed by a JV team at home. But every game, they've been in a one-possession game. I think it's 5 one-possession games this year for the Giants. They've been on.
If you think about it, only
they've been on the
Pittsburgh game
side.
and
the biggest
San Francisco game, and they had Pittsburgh on the ropes.
The biggest question that the Giants have had each and every week is, like most teams in this league right now, is do they have their franchise quarterback? Well, Daniel Jones has had his ups and downs, and it's going to be an ongoing discussion until we'll see what happens with the rest of the season for the Giants, because right now the Giants are slated at 4 in the NFL draft, but could be in first place or close to it
half a game
by the end of this weekend with a huge game against the Philadelphia Eagles. And like I said last week, this Giants team, they're to some maybe a star receiver away, or I like to say an elite pass rusher away from being one of the better teams in the NFC. Because you look at this team, and Joe, if you want to bring up those stats of the defense right now and how great this defense has been, and we all thought this defense was going to be a problem. Well, you look at them right now, they're currently second with 15 takeaways. I mean, it helps that they had 5 last week. And this is a team that this was their weakness last year. Now we go in a year later. This is a rejuvenated group. Patrick Graham has them going and feeling good about themselves. Leonard Williams has played really good. Jabril Peppers has played really good. Logan Ryan, Bradbury, Blake Martinez. This team is a couple pieces away, maybe a pass rusher away, like I said, from getting, I don't know, maybe one of the better defenses in the entire league. So can I ask you both this question,
when
Joe?
you're speaking about that, Trev, look at the statistics, though. I mean, to back up your point, Last season, he ranked 25th in total defense and 30th in points allowed, giving up 28.2 points per game. Through 9 games this season, they ranked 15th, which is much better than 25th in yards allowed, and 13th in points, 24 points.
Well, what I
and
wanted to say
significantly, if you just watch them, they compete at all levels of the ballgame. Their defensive line is probably their best positions with the 3 guys in Dalvin Tomlinson, Dexter Lawrence, and Leonard Williams. You have Leonard Williams in a full season with the Giants, which is great. And those 3 hot mollies clog up a lot of lanes. Blake Martinez leads the league in tackles. He's all over the field. That was a great pickup for the New York Football Giants.
Who picked him up?
Gettleman from the Packers. Frackle has been a great outside component to the Giants. He's had some pass rushing abilities, some coverage.
My question is to you guys, though.
James Bradbury, the cornerback.
Are the New York Giants the best team in the NFC right now?
Yeah, listen, the Giants could very easily be on a 5-game winning streak right now.
Joe,
every game within 8 points, and as you said, a chance on 5 of those games, literally in last possession, to win the game.
So they should be undefeated in this division. They had the Eagles up 11 with less than 5 minutes to play, okay? They had Dallas by 10 points early in the first half. They didn't capitalize. Stupid, dumb mental errors on the fake field goal they had for the touchdown, and then the offensive pass interference was a touchdown. And that's just stupidity. That's just not knowing understanding the concept and everything that's supposed to do and being – sometimes you get up there and you get so nervous. Just relax. They didn't relax in the moment. They had Dallas by the cojones, and they let them off the hook.
I mean, I know we've talked a lot about the Giants.
And then
it seems like we've talked a lot of bad this year, but if you really want to be – I know their record doesn't look great at all, but the direction – I think the most important thing for us Giant fans that we haven't talked about in some time is there's direction. There's a direction in the right path, it seems like, too. They look like they have their head coach for the future in Joe Judge. I think he's been one of the bright spots of this team alongside the defense. They got a lot of nice things going for them. They're going to get rid of Golden Tate. He'll be off the books, which is going to be great. Nate Soldier as well could be. Who knows what happens with him. The key is, though, with this draft, because there are some positions that have great talent in this upcoming
Giants
draft
need
class.
3 things.
They can get it all. They can add to the offensive line. They can add a nice piece to the offense with the receiver,
and they
could get a pass rusher and a number 2, or maybe find a number 2 corner to team up with Bradbury. So this is the most important thing to me as a Giant fan, because we've talked about this for 3 years, and it seems like for the past 3 years it's been nothing but bad, and it's been nothing but all over the place, because that's the thing. The Giants haven't had a direction. It's either been going down, it's been going, I don't know. It's been just running off the track. It hasn't been the Giant way, hasn't been the way that we expected as Giant fans. But now with Joe Judge, with Patrick Graham, Jason Garrett, and this coaching staff, they seem like they're going in the right direction. I think the biggest question for going is obviously going to be, is Daniel Jones going to be the guy? And I feel like most peers around the league and even in the Giants organization feel like he's going to be the guy for the Giants.
Well, here's the thing. So the offensive line has played much better. If you read the article in the Post the other day, Mark Schler was talking about how the Giants have been doing a rotating schedule with the offensive linemen. Now, that's really uncommon with what you do as an offensive lineman, because if you know anything about football, it's about all the guys coming together, knowing every single step that you do and working together as a cohesion unit. You don't usually mess around with the offensive line. But the Giants last week rotated all 3 offensive tackles in. They rotated both guards in, LeMahieu and Hernandez, and they're going to continue to do that. And it's working for the Giants. And Schler was saying that if you kind of know that your position is at any point can be taken from you, your ability to focus becomes a lot more integrated into what you need to do. Also, they simplify the offense, too, for the offensive lineman, which has made things. The offensive line has played much better the last couple of weeks. If you truly look at them, they've played much better.
Yeah, they have.
The Giants, here's the thing. Where they're going to probably be drafted, they're either going to be drafting an offensive lineman, the receiver from LSU, Jamar Chase, or the linebacker from Penn State, Micah Parsons. Because the kid Parsons is a 3-4 outside linebacker with the ability to run sideline to sideline with the ability to also
Well, if they win the division, they're going to be in the teens. They're going to be in the 20s.
No,
because of the
it goes by record, right?
Even with the playoffs.
We don't know this.
I think
this is something I know. If the Giants win the division at 6-10,
I think
they still go? Do they still move to 15?
Yeah, they go.
Even if someone is 9-7 and they go lower than them, I think it's by record, right?
By record.
I don't know about that with the playoffs.
That would be.
If they get in the play.
We would have talked about this before if this had ever come up that a team won a division. We would have talked about this. It goes by record.
We've never had a division where we've had 7.
Yeah, there was one several years ago where a 7-9 won a division. This might have been a decade or two ago.
You got it.
Carolina was 7-9-1.
It was, I forgot what year. Cam was the quarterback, but it was like 7-9-1. 7-9-1. They played that many games. Played 17, 7-8-1.
Whatever.
Yeah, there was 7-8-1. I just don't know what the draft position was. The playoff effects picks. They'll be in.
So here's my realistic question that I think we all face as Giant fans, and it's the toughest decision because as a true Giant fan, you want them to win all the time. Like Jay says, he picks the Giants every week to win. But do we want the Giants to win to make the playoffs for one game? Maybe that they could get hot, or do we want the Giants to not lose, but stay in a position where they can get in, like we always say, when you're picking in the top 5, a gold jacket guy that can be an impactful player for the next 10 years. And that could be your left tackle, which solidifies your offensive line. You move Thomas over to right tackle and you get your left tackle, maybe Penny Sewell from Oregon. Do you get the linebacker from Penn State, who you team up with Blake Martinez, and now you have that elite pass rusher who also can play linebacker and cover the tight ends? Or do you get the receiver out of LSU, Jamar Chase, who's athletic? He's a playmaker. If you watch what he did against Trayvon Mullen last year, the Clemson cornerback who went in the first round and torched him for 212 yards and 2 touchdowns in the national championship game, you put him up now and team him up with Daniel Jones. Now you have your impact receiver. Now you have still Evan Ingram with your 5th-year option. Now you have Saquon coming back. You have Daniel Jones in his 3rd year. You could still read.
I think for me, the most important thing coming into this season was.
You didn't answer my question. Where do you want the Giants to be? Do you want the Giants to be winning this division, or do you want the Giants to be in a position where they can get an impactful player to help the team for the next 5 years?
I was going to answer that question, but I was going to do it differently, like Ted does. But of course, I want to see the Giants. I mean, a lot of Giant fans want to see the Giants play meaningful games, and there's half a Giant fans
that want to. But I think every game is meaningful. I think when they play Burrow, like Joe said last week, when they play Burrow, when they play Kyle Murray, when they play these young quarterbacks, and we're comparing them to Daniel Jones, we're going to see if Daniel Jones is the real deal.
My thing is, coming into this season was, I just want to know that the Giants were going in the right direction, because it's been since 2011, 2012, and they even said it in the New York Post that from champs to the abyss. That's all the Giants have been since that time. Forget about the 16 season, okay? Forget about that one playoff appearance. That was just that. They should have made it even farther that year. They were that talented. They were one of the better teams in the league that year. But instead, we got to go for a boat trip in Miami.
Well, Eli played good that game.
Anyway, my thing is, I just wanted the Giants to get out of that abyss. I just wanted the Giants to have some sort of direction instead of going all over the place like a freaking pinball machine. I wanted them to go that way. I couldn't take any more of this. With them seeing, I know they're 2-7. I know they're one of the – right now they're slated at the 4th and seems like another bad year. But with the way this division is, with the way the coaching staff is, with the way the defense has been, it gives me hope that the next 5 to 10 years, the Giants are going to be competitive in the NFC East and in the NFC.
Do you realize that and we've talked about it, and he's actually averaging 8 yards a carry, but Daniel Jones doesn't just lead
yards per carry, leading the league for carries. So
doesn't just lead the Giants in rushing. He leads the Giants in rushing by 100 yards. Here's another point. Sterling Shepard needs maybe one more carry and 10 more yards, and he'll officially have more rushing yards in 2020 than Saquon Barkley's going to finish with. Okay, so things have been a little weird for the Giants offense. And again, you pointed it out, Ted, earlier. Look, you can't even – Saquon missed a bunch of time last year. It's hard to even argue that that's the problem, but I still contend it is a huge problem. And I still think that Daniel Jones doesn't have nearly the weaponry that most other guys around the league have. And a lot of the times, again, you look at somebody like Ingram or Shepard, it's more reputation than it is production.
Yeah, look at the Packers. They have Devontae Adams and no one else, but Devontae is far better than half all the guys on the Giants combined. Sorry. The only person that compares him is Saquon, but he hasn't played on the field in the last 2 seasons. Sorry.
Trevor, you said something about Leonard Williams has been good or as something to that effect. Yeah, he's been a beast.
Yeah, he
has 5 sacks, 8 tackle for losses. And I'll tell you what, in this game, against the Washington football team. The Giants had a 3-man rush late in that game where Leonard Williams came up with a sack. No blitz, just the 3 of them, and he got there. Like, to me, that was the best thing I've seen all year, was a sack on a 3-man rush where Leonard Williams just came bulling through and made a sack.
That's so funny, the quote you use, because right in the post, I'm looking right here, defensive tackle Leonard Williams, 5 sacks, parentheses, he's a beast. Blake Martinez said, when he's been on top of his game, I don't think anybody could stop him.
I mean, he's
hand to God, I have not read. I didn't read that article. I swear to you. That was. I wrote that down the other day. I was taking notes. After the next day, I actually they do like where you could watch the game sort of sped up.
Yeah, the game film and the extra stuff.
I watched that, and instead of watching the game, I wrote down observations that I made. Like, I mean, Alfred Morris. I thought, what an unbelievable job of running, just downhill running the entire game. You know what that reminded me of? Giants football, taking the ball, hitting the pile, and just going.
Ex-Redskins.
That's NFC East football. Like, that's how you do it. That's how you bang it. You know, the other thing I'll say is Logan Ryan might be the guy who saves Dave Gettleman's job.
He's just so smart. He's the ability to understand
Bradbury as well.
Let me put it this way. Defensive back Logan Ryan, 53 tackles, 1 pick, 7 PDs. Intellectual, Martinez says. He's just so smart. He's able to understand what offenses are trying to do and able to.
Did you hear about the story with him and his wife? How he got?
No, I didn't. But did you hear the story about the defensive play? Yeah.
Yes, because they ran it at the end of the first half, and he
blew it.
And he blew it, and he told Graham, "Don't worry, run it again. I promise you." Because I watched the game film the other day, and they showed him. He was too close to the sideline. He was supposed to come down more in the box and the corner. So what it has is Bradbury on a normal cover 2 shell, the safeties stay high and the corners sink low when you play the underneath zone. Well, what happened was they were trying to trick Alex Smith. So whether he were going to reverse, they were going to bring Logan Ryan to come down, and Bradbury was going to not sink. He was going to fall back. Okay. He was going to be the deep half, and then they would have the other corner safety in that half. Well, so when they ran it again, and Terry McLaurin ran the curl route at 15. Logan Ryan's ability to come underneath like they had, pick that ball off, and that's how they got one of their 2 picks late in the 4th quarter when they shut down Washington.
You know, it's funny. It's almost to their benefit, Teddy. A great explanation of the defense and how that whole thing worked. The fact that Ryan blew it, and they had the big gain, and it didn't even end up kind of hurting them, but he went back in, like you said, and he talked to Coach Graham and was like, I got this. But now the Redskins feel like that plays there.
Did you know that they didn't practice that all week?
Yeah, they wrote it in the night before. I saw that. That's insane.
They implemented that the night before, and it was something that they wanted to adjust to late in the game if they needed to.
So here's the Redskins. Have this play from earlier. They knew it worked. You don't think the Giants have anything to stop it. You know what I mean? So, of course, they went to that play there. And this is why, you know, when we talk about if this Giants team's going in the right direction, I love Patrick Graham. And I really like Joe Judge. And I really like Daniel Jones. And I love Saquon. And I love this whole defense. There's nobody on this defense right now that I don't like.
And that's the thing. There's no stars on this defense right now. But
yeah. But is there anybody on that defense where you're like, oh, it's this guy again? I feel like the last couple years, I mean, it's tough.
Let me tell you a little bit about this defense. First of all, the Giants already have at least a half a sack from 14 different players this season. Only 14 had at least a half a sack all last season. They're doing it at several positions. Graham's running quarters position 4.5%, which means you have more than 6 cornerbacks on the field. The only person that runs it even close to that is Bill Belichick. He comes from the Belichick roots, where they're also working at a nickel defense, which 50% of the time, which means is he's got more speed on the field, playmakers, ability to do things. So once we get McKinney back, the 2nd-round pick out of Alabama, who we loved in the draft, early.
That's what I'm saying.
Playmaker. Because we thought, okay, we didn't get Isaiah Simmons, but we got McKinney. We're like, all right, that's okay. We got a guy that can play in the box and play deep and guard tight end. But now, if you watch a lot of these defenses, the way teams are playing and the ability to stretch the field, now they're going to probably play 3 safeties, 2 linebackers, and 2 cornerbacks. So you're going to have Jabril Peppers, you're going to have Logan Ryan, who also plays safety, and you're going to have McKinney, which is going to give a lot of versatility to what Graham could do on this defense. And now you'll still have your linebackers with Martinez and Frackle, and then you're still going to have your 3 big front guys, and that's what's key. Tomlinson, Dexter Lawrence, and Leonard Williams are eating up blocks for the linebackers. That's why Blake Martinez is leading the league in tackles, and they're stopping the run at such a great rate. I mean, they really are. They're doing a very good job in stopping the run.
Let's just say this: the Giants, as a team, aren't no pushovers anymore. You're not gonna. It's not gonna be like, oh, we're playing the Giants. It's gonna be easy win.
Joe, that play we're talking about is right here.
Somebody said, who said it?
It's right
Yeah,
here.
there it is.
That was the first down play, and then that was the second down
Somebody
play.
said it. The Giants might be the best 2-7 team they've ever seen.
Colin Cowherd said it. He said they're the best 2-7 team.
They've gotten better every week. And
Look.
I'm not picking this game because it's Philly, and I just don't know what the hell's going to happen because it's Philly every time, and we just saw it 2 weeks ago. So I'm not picking it. I'm not picking the game. I said it before. I'm glad Colin said it. I think this is a 2-7 team that's a 7-2 team, and I think they would probably, in real life, if they were 7-2, lose to the Eagles.
Yeah,
and
fall
to
7-3. So them losing to the Eagles in a good tough game that won't hurt me. I would prefer to see the Giants lose out again, Trev. For me, I want to feel like Jones is the guy, and it's look, he's got what are we at? 7 more games. It's unlikely that in the last it's unlikely in the last 7 games that Daniel Jones is going to make me think, no, he's not the guy. He would have to really play poorly.
He had 2 more fumbles again, even though
at least he's recovering them.
He didn't have no turnovers in the game.
Which is the last time he had no turnovers was against Washington, which is incredible to think about. If you just
is there a way? And I don't know how this is a joke, but can the Giants ask to play Washington every week?
Yeah, right.
Could that be arranged? They would be amazing.
How well they play
it's funny because they beat Dallas, they beat Philly, and then the Giants kicked the crap out of them last week.
And that just explains the NFC East. That explains the NFC East in a nutshell.
That's what I'm saying. The Giants, really, if you think about it, all I want to see from this year is just them going in the right direction. But I never thought they'd be in the situation they are now. Hell, I didn't know that the 2020 version of the NFC East would be this bad because we all thought Dallas and Philly would be above and shoulders, head and shoulders better than everybody else than Washington and the Giants. We didn't expect that.
Here's an interesting perspective, right? If the season would have started and I would have told you, look, I'm not gonna tell you records, and we're probably not making the postseason. Mm-hmm. But if I could tell you that by the season's end, people might be saying the Giants are the best team in this division, you would have looked around at Dak and Dallas and Wentz in Philly and Haskins in Washington, and you'd have been like, what?
Yeah.
And I think that there's a real possibility, like you said, when this season is over, let's say the Giants offense starts to really groove, the defense gets better, wins, lose, or draws. I don't care. If the season ends and we could legitimately say, like, all right, rough year for everybody in a lot of ways, 2021's the Giants' year, then this will have all been worth it for me.
Everything in 2021 works best for me.
And in 2020, we can only hope, right?
I'll be 34 in 2021, and the Giants will be. No, honestly, I'm just really appreciating the Giants. We were down in Atlantic City this weekend, and we watched the Giant game. And the only thing I had concern was they had such a good lead in the first half that they weren't able to extend it. But what I did like was that the defense came through in the end of the day and shut it down when they needed to. And that's something that you talked about multiple times, where the Giants haven't been able to finish at the end of the games. Now, that's something I want to see this week against the Eagles. Can they get a lead, and can they finish when they need to like they did the first time, but just finish the game and win the game? I don't care how
We're going to
they
get back
win.
to beating Philly. We're going to beat Philly this week.
Because the Giants,
have
you can tell even if you're not a huge football fan and don't know much about football, you can just watch the game of the Giants and look at them and say, they are getting better. whatever is being said from the head coach is the message is being sent to the players, and the players are getting the message. Now, the talent might not be up there like everyone else would want them to be, but they are improving, okay? And if you watched all the games thoroughly, this is why it's so hard to be a Giants fan, because you're like, we should have won that game, and we should have. And this is not just like everyone's, we should have won. No, the Giants should have won that game. Steelers, baby, absolutely, Dave Riccio. 8-0.
Dave, I picked the Steelers to go undefeated, so don't let me down.
And listen, that's a veteran team. Is a veteran team that has everything working. Tomlin's been there for 10 years, Roethlisberger and the players. The Giants are implementing a brand new system, new coaching staff, brand new coordinators.
That's why people got to be patient with the whole Jason Garrett thing, because this is what Jason Garrett does.
Let's just see. And Joe, you were right. And maybe we jumped to conclusion because I was going to say, Joe.
I don't agree with that.
I'm going to jump on one statement. It's going to go off the Giants.
Do you agree with that statement?
No,
I don't agree.
But I want to agree. I want to say something to Joe, and I'm going to give him credit. Joe, I want to give you credit because we always bash you on the bets, but here's the thing. Remember how last week we were talking about just quarterback?
You can laugh all you want. They're good bets, and I stand behind all my bets.
Hold on. Because you lose.
Hold on. Nobody likes
a loser.
That's okay. We're the winner. So be quiet for 2 seconds. You know how we're talking about quarterbacks, and you're like, 1 week you're like, he's the best quarterback in the world, and next week he sucks. Well, remember how Trev and us were like, we really like Tampa, right? And we were all over Tampa. And then you watched Tampa last week. Get their butt kicked against the Saints.
Nope.
And you're like, and I was like, wait till Joe comes on the show this week and be like, what's your thought now? Is Tampa not the best team no more?
Are you going to ask me that question still? Because I still will sit here and say I'll take Tampa over anyone in the NFC right now.
Well, that's a stupid thing to say. If you're going to make fun of me for Gary Sanchez, how could you say that?
Because I am. Because, hold on.
How could you say that?
Because you just saw Seattle.
No, how could you say that? You see what I just did there? I just took your logic and I applied it against you.
Damn, give me a chance.
I'm the pod, Joe.
Hold on.
Dude,
Damn, give me a chance.
You couldn't have set me up any better, Teddy. It's like we talked earlier and planned this.
Both of you, silence.
Yeah, bring it.
Here we go. I'm going to go down. Well, I'm going to go with this. Seattle showed. Oh, yeah. How about the Bucks? Yeah. Hey, Jace. How about your Bears, Jace? Yeah. Go back to liking the Bears and Nick Foles. Anyways.
Anybody who comments right now on Facebook about how bad the Bucks are, you'll instantly get put up while Trevor's talking, just so everybody knows. Go ahead, Trev.
Here we go. So, anyways, Seattle first. Seattle just showed firsthand why they will not get to even the Super Bowl of last week. It doesn't matter what Russell Wilson does. He could put up 40, 45 points. Their defense is giving up 50. They're not going to beat them with anybody with that bad of a defense. Green Bay. Yes, they beat San Fran, but San Fran had a JV team last week, literally, because of COVID and all the injuries. I still do not trust Aaron Rodgers, even though Joe does, when, the Bucs beat them by 4 touchdowns early in the season too. And the Saints, maybe the Saints have the Bucs number, but I'm not taking anybody else over that Tampa Bay team. Still, they're still going to get Antonio Brown. They're going to get him into the groove of things. I can't believe I'm saying his name again because I never thought he'd play. They're going to get Mike Evans and Chris Godwin going again. The running game had an off game. Brady, where's Steve Rist? I hope he's watching because I know how Steve said that the offensive line is not important in the NFL. Okay. Well, that just showed last week, too. It doesn't matter how great you are, Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, when you're getting pressured and your offensive line doesn't give you any time, you are not winning. It's plain and simple. You're going to have a long night. I will still take my chances with the Buccaneers because I still feel they are the most complete team in the NFC with the offensive line, their defense as nasty as they are, and still having the greatest quarterback of all time. Just said he thinks, okay, you guys are done. Joe, are you commenting on the show? Are you really commenting? Really?
I will put this. You're keys to the city. What are you?
Hold on. I take the Saints, the Seahawks, the Cardinals, the Rams, the Packers, and a rematch and the Bears because. All right, Jace, and you picked the Giants too, right? You'll pick the Giants to win too? Okay.
I will put it this way. Seattle's 2 losses come from when they both times score 34 points. How do you score 34 points in both games and lose?
I don't know. Ask Jace. He still thinks the Seattle Seahawks are great. The Cardinals? Come on. The Cardinals? The Cardinals are interesting.
Hold on. Can we address Hold on. I want to address the Blake Martinez thing.
I can get under control. No, what do you mean no?
If you're the lead, you're supposed to stay under control at all times and maintain focus.
I'm like Don / the lead.
Then I'm
you are not the lead.
He's LaGreca.
You're not the lead. He's Don. He looks like Don LaGreca.
You know who Don LaGreca is on the K show?
Come on, Don.
I love Don LaGreca. He's the whole show.
I love it when he loses
LaGreca's the whole show for me. I love when he
Somebody's
gets pissed and his face blows
the
up.
Giants are not good because Joe Judge and they got. I was
says-
like, what?
It's as if, and it's also impactful, Steve. The offensive line is very impactful. Anyways,
Listen,
Joe,
real
go on.
quick. You made a face when I first clicked on or brought up Jace's comment about Blake Martinez. You made a face.
Yeah.
And I disagree that he's the best linebacker in the league, but to say Blake
I know.
Martinez is not a star is a
No,
stretch.
He's
92 tackles, leads the NFL. He's got 6.5 tackles for losses, 2 sacks, 3
One
passes
interception.
defended, a pick, a
He's
fumble
been
recovery,
great.
and a fumble
He's
cross.
been
Hold on. He's been everything the Giants needed in that spot for a really long time.
And he's on the
And
field.
I'll tell you, when you fill that spot up and you put a leader on the field, I mean, it's almost hard to not be better.
Mm-hmm.
So just his presence alone and what he does leadership-wise, but just the fact that he's that guy has made the defense better. And I agree. I think when Xavier McKinney gets back, boy, I think this defense is going to start really turning some heads if they're not already.
I want to ask you quick about my Bucks take. Don't ignore it.
Oh, listen, I agree with I think that the Bucks are probably the most complete team in the NBA.
But the problem is when their offensive line doesn't perform like they have been, they come back down to field. See, here's the thing. If you watch football, there is really no dominant team. The Steelers showed last week that even they have a weakness. Maybe the best team is still the Chiefs because of Mahomes and the ability to score at any time from anywhere on the field makes them the most dangerous, where the Steelers can't do that, even if your defense is great. The problem with Seattle is their defense is so poor that Russell Wilson has to do so much. And you're telling me that you're going to lose 2 games and score 34 points.
That's what I'm saying.
And
They rely so heavily on Russell Wilson that no matter what he does, he could throw for 1,000 yards. If that defense doesn't stop anybody, they're not winning the game.
And then the Packers, we've seen, if you can bring a physical running game to the Packers, you can dominate them. The 49ers
the
did.
Saints are too tough. I mean, we did pick the Saints in our preseason
Against the Ravens. We picked
Saints
Saints-Ravens for the Super Bowl. That's what I picked. And I had the Saints with Breeze walking off. You had the Ravens. The thing with the Saints is Drew Brees is accurate. We know that. It's never been a story about his accuracy. It's his ability to make plays with
Maybe
his
they
arm.
just have their number. Maybe they just have the ball. Remember the year the Giants beat the Cowboys twice, and the Cowboys were 13-3 a couple years ago. The Giants made the playoffs 11-5. Maybe they have their number for that year, but I'm still taking my chances with the Buccaneers because I know what they can do when they're on. Like, they're explosive. They get after
on both sides of the field.
And on top of it, once you get Antonio Brown going, I mean, that's just another deadly weapon to have on that offense that it's going to be nearly impossible for defenses to shut down. You're going to ask Seattle. Let me say that again. You're going to ask Seattle's defense to stop this offense. Good luck. The Bears. I know the Bears beat the Buccaneers, but still, if Brady had another 30 seconds in that game, and if he knew it wasn't 4th down, they probably win that game. Nick Foles isn't beating him. That Bears team is awful, okay? Their offense is awful. Green Bay, we just saw when Green Bay gets beat up by a physical team past couple of years, they go quiet. They go nowhere. They go hide under their shell. The Saints are the only team I could see beating the Buccaneers because they have everything you want. They have the quarterback, they got the coach, they got the running attack, they got the weapons, and they got the defense to do it. Yeah, and they don't even have Michael Thomas play last week. He came back and played last week. He did play.
But that's the key, having him back with the team.
Casey's going to be very tough for the Steelers to beat because Mahomes looks amazing. And right now, Mahomes looks like the MVP frontrunner. I mean, Russell's been amazing. Aaron's been amazing. But the numbers, Mahomes has 27 touchdowns to 1 pick. Oof, my goodness. Can that man get any better? Casey's going to be tough. But I'm still sticking with the Buccaneers. They had an off night. Everybody has it. That's all. I mean, Seattle, I know people are high on Seattle, but I just can't take a defense that no matter how good that offense.
Listen, Josh Allen looked like the best quarterback in the league. And I'm not knocking Josh Allen, but he was like 12-14 for 158 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Why do these guys not understand? It's just not going to happen.
Jamal Adams doesn't play good in the pass defense.
He's actually been horrible.
Actually, he's one of the worst defenders.
I'm not trying to like.
He's great in the running game. That's why he leads the team in sacks, even though he's missed half the season. He is awful in the passing game. And it's not that he's awful. He just doesn't match up well for some odd reason because the talent is there. You know he's an elite talent. He just doesn't defend the pass well for some odd reason.
I'm not trying to bash anybody right now. I'm just saying. I saw Seattle firsthand last week, and I've been saying it for the past couple weeks. Russell Wilson's amazing. Russell Wilson is a top 2, maybe the best quarterback in the NFL.
Can't get to the quarterback.
He threw for 300 last week. Their offense, he got sacked 5 times in the game last week too.
And he had turnovers again.
And he had 2 turnovers.
Like
he's been throwing more picks. But the defense, you scored 4 points and you still lose by 10 plus points. You're not getting to a Super Bowl with that. Like if you do, you could just give Russell Wilson everything. Give him the best quarterback in the league. Give him everything if he gets to a Super Bowl. But I cannot take Seattle Super Bowl serious enough to get to a Super Bowl with how historically bad that defense is. It's just not going to happen.
So let's finish off with the two of her.
Let me finish off with that. Joe, did you want to say anything like final about the NFC currently right now? Like, are you?
I think Teddy hit the nail on the head. I think there's no. I mean, I think other than the Chiefs, and I think even the Chiefs, if you really want to get into them, we probably could. I don't think anybody is really. Again, you're in a situation where you have an undefeated team, and you're like, maybe they're the 3rd best team in the conference in the AFC. I think it's tough. I think that we're finally at a time where there's not one dominant team right now. And this is, I think, why if you're the Giants and you're a Giants fan and you're like, well, maybe if they get in there, they've got the defense.
Hey,
we've seen it before. Listen, we've
seen it before. The Giants have made the playoffs and won Super Bowl at 9-7 and 10-6.
And here's the thing: the Giants have showed that they were able to compete against one of the best teams in football, and that was the Tampa Bay Bucks.
We're not saying the Giants are winning the Super Bowl. Anybody?
All right, hold on. Listen.
But the Giants showed that they could compete. They showed it at the beginning of the season that they compete with Pittsburgh, and that was the first game with a whole new brand and with no
they can compete with anybody.
And then it took them 8 weeks later, and they competed against the best team in football in the Tampa Bay Bucks. So the 2 biggest and best teams in football right now, Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay, they competed with, and they held them down to the wire. If it wasn't for a late pick by Daniel Jones and that long 17-play, 97-yard drive, that game was maybe different against the Steelers. And the same thing against Tampa. If it wasn't for a couple mishaps and a couple different things that happened late in the game, the Giants had Tampa Bay by the cojones. So it just shows that the Giants are there. They're closer to the middle and front of the pack than they are to the back of the pack where Jacksonville and the Jets are. And even Dallas right now, performance-wise, at least performance-wise. But the Giants are showing that type of improvement.
Joe, I would agree with you. I don't think there is a dominant team in the NFL right now. I mean, the Steelers are 8-0. They've been great, but they've had their slip-ups and they've had their issues, and they're going to have to figure it out. I still love the Steelers. I still love them.
Listen,
but there is no dominant team right now, and I agree with you.
In 2007, you might recall, obviously the Giants were going to win the Super Bowl, but they lost that last week of the season to the Patriots. And their playoff opponents, the Cowboys, the Packers,
and Packers. It was Tampa, Dallas,
and then
they beat Jeff Garcia.
Do you know that they had lost to all of those teams every time they faced them in the regular season? I mean,
Tampa, and they had lost to the Packers early in the season, week 2, when Brett Favre put up like 40 points against the Giants, and they were 0-2.
No, look, here is the interesting thing about this team. This is a team that gradually got better. The offense was terrible to start the season. The defense had to really settle in on this team. Once the offense started clicking, and by the time they got to that Patriots game, people were calling for Coughlin's head. They wanted Manning out of town. Yep. And I remember saying to some people, I was like, man, I know this is going to sound so stupid. I think if this team, and you'll recall they lost, they had another team had to lose for them to get the wild card that year. So things really worked out really magically for the Giants. I just had this weird feeling. I'm like, I don't know. If they make the playoffs, I think this team could beat anybody. And as it was, everybody they beat was a team that had already beaten them in the regular season. So I wouldn't say that this Giants team can't win a Super Bowl, because I think in this year, if the Giants' next 7 games, if there's a big enough turnaround, they win this division. I don't know that there's a team current, other than maybe the Chiefs and the Ravens, that I think would annihilate the Giants.
And that's where I want to see the Giants compete the next 7 games.
Remember those years?
Like you said, because you're going to have Arizona,
You're
going to have Dallas, and you're going to have some of these teams where you're going to be able to compete and prove to us as fans and to themselves as Giant organization that they are proving that they are getting better.
Both of those teams.
I love Jace Garcia, dude.
I did have the Steelers going undefeated, so could be.
You have to admit, nobody loves the Giants more than that guy. Jace just like.
So Jace loves the Giants. You love Gary Sanchez. That's going to be the theme of the show.
And you love the Bucs.
Giants and Gary. A Gigi show. Here's my thing that I was going to say.
Joe and Jace.
Funny thing is,
Gary and
the 2 years that the Giants won those Super Bowls, they started 6-2 and then faltered. Remember, they lost a lot of those games. They were so hot, everybody was high on them. Just saying, the Giants have a very, I don't know, they play Philly this week, and then they go on bye next week. So
then they have like Cincinnati, Arizona, the Ravens.
They get the Browns at home. They have a very favorable schedule going forward. So all I know is, as a Giant fan, I'm excited because the future has some sort of direction. And that's the most important thing for many Giant fans.
This matchup, I tell you, though, Joe has on the screen for about the last 5 minutes.
Sorry,
this situation.
Joe's hard work has been up here for 5 minutes, and we haven't even noticed.
We're talking about the Giants again. But here's the thing.
We love talking Giants.
These two guys, again. Now, Joe, you know how I've been favored of Herbert last couple weeks, and you're like, last week, wasn't his fault last week that they lost. He had his team all the way down to the end. The kid ended up dropping the ball in the end zone. They lost. But I'm telling you, he's there. He is there. What I think is more impressive, and we talked about in pre-show was, and we had the bet would Tua have more than 150 yards passing. Of course, he did that last week.
And of course, Joe
I was shocked of how well he performed. Passing ability, but being able to understand the schematics of football, being able to move within the pocket, scramble, make big plays. The ball was pinpoint. Now, that was something he was good in college. We never really worried about his accuracy, because that was something he was known for in college, accuracy. He's got that Drew Brees mentality and accuracy. But he was smooth last week. He looked every part of the point of where the Dolphins took him at number 5. He looked the part. And you said it before the show, that is the reason why the Dolphins put him in when they did in that week, because they knew he was ready. Or else they wouldn't have implemented him in the season and not cost themselves to win games, because this is all about winning football games, as we talk about every week. We're not here to lose games. We're here to win football games because people's jobs are on the line. So,
you can continue.
It's just
don't lose track, bro.
I'm not losing
track. He's getting distracted over here.
Here's the thing. I just want to see these guys two compete, because the way I look at it is, could this be a Manning type of Brady thing that we look forward to every year with these young quarterbacks that you want to see? Herbert versus Burrow, Tua versus Herbert. You know what I mean? I know they're not in the division all the time, but neither was Manning and
Can I say something that the Miami Dolphins might realistically have a shot, because
that was my bold prediction that Tua would lead them to the playoffs. That was my bold prediction.
They won the division, and Colin Cowherd relates the Giants to this Dolphins team of last year, because the Dolphins, remember last year the Dolphins were bad. They were supposed to tank. They were going to be historically bad, but they finished 5-11, and they looked like they were going in the right direction. That was the most important thing. The Dolphins have their quarterback, plain and simple. Tua's going to be their guy, and the Chargers have their guy, just like the Cincinnati Bengals have their guy as well. All three of these teams have their guy. It's amazing to see how much young talent there is, especially at the quarterback position currently in this NFL,
and how well they play early.
And how well they're playing. Like Kyler Murray, we just looked up their stats from compared to Lamar last year, and his stats are much better than what Lamar's was last year MVP. So there's so many good young quarterbacks. It's just, can Herbert and this Charger team find a way to win a game and close out a game? And can the Dolphins continue this winning streak right now? Because right now the Dolphins defense is really good, and their offense is starting to connect with Tua. So the Dolphins could be a scary team with the remaining schedule that they have in this AFC picture.
Kyler Murray is on pace, Joe, to be the first ever quarterback to have 1,000 yards rushing and 4,000 yards passing.
Joe, are we choppy?
It's a little choppy. You're a little choppy. Your faces are blurred.
Our faces are blurred. That's our most important asset, is our faces.
I know.
Jesus, Joe. What do we got to do about this? We got to call the IT.
Slap this guy to your modem.
slide my mouth. Yeah, let me just push it. How about I just?
Hey, let me
push
just
it?
slap him. Slap me. Well, it's all right. We're almost done with the show, so we'll finish up strong. What's your take on this game?
Well, I think Tua's going to win, and I think Herbert's going to have a slightly better statistical game. That's the way I see it going. I think Tua's on a better – look, Tua walked into a good situation, and he would have – and had he not gotten hurt, he'd be on the Bengals right now, and Burrow might very well be on the Chargers. I mean, on the Dolphins, yeah.
But you know what? You never know. Because maybe
sure, the order certainly could – I mean, all things considered, these guys might not be on the same teams that they are
but they might all
if
worked out
Tua hadn't gotten hurt.
But you know what? It probably all worked out for itself because Burrow stays home where he's from, Ohio. Tua goes to Miami, kind of goes to that Latin, even though he's Samoan, kind of goes to that area. Miami kind of always had the tank for Tua. He kind of looks like he fits in Miami. I don't know what it is. And then Herbert just kind of looks like the West Coast, California, fly with the hair, very intellectual. He was a genius at Oregon, graduated in 3 years with like a what was it, like a biology degree? But
don't ask me.
I
don't know.
I believe it was molecular.
I don't even know how to pronounce the word.
I believe
it's like molecular biology or something. He's a smart dude.
Yeah, he was like a 4.2 student, which, like I only knew you can go to 4, but I guess you go to 4.2. Tua has a better defense, absolutely, and Herbert has the better weapons. Totally agree. So it should be a perfect matchup then. You'll see how Herbert plays against Flores. The coach Flores has done a great job for Miami. It's going to be a fun, interesting matchup. Joe, who do you think wins?
I said I think the Dolphins win the game, but I think Monday when we're talking about it, we're gonna be like, definitely Herbert had a better game, but Tua's in a great spot because look, he doesn't have to do a ton to win. This isn't Alabama. It's not all on him. You know what I mean? And it's a great situation for a rookie to be in.
No,
I think Herbert pulls it out. I think the Chargers pull this one out. I think Herbert does enough offensively to pull it out. The only thing that I think hurts Miami Dolphins and Tua is they don't have a running game.
Going to in the Dolphins.
They're 27th in rushing.
Joe,
Joe,
do you smell a bet coming? I saw your face. Is it a week?
I 100% do.
Dude, let
me get some of this. If your boy Herbert's so good, let's do it.
All right. Well, so is this triple or nothing? Because I already beat you with double or nothing.
Let's triple or nothing.
What is it now? What do you want? What is this?
Chargers win.
Is this too large?
No. This is just straight up Chargers win.
This is between Teddy and I. Yeah. Chargers, triple or nothing. You take Chargers, I take Miami. And again, I still say I think Herbert's going to have a great day.
Yes.
I think Tua ends up walking out of there with the
I'll put it this
way.
I think all three quarterbacks are going to be legit quarterbacks. And I think you're going to, in 10 years, you're going to start mentioning them just like you did with Eli, Rivers, and Roethlisberger. I really, truly – the biggest question will be is the organizations. Do they do enough for the three individuals? Do they surround these guys with protection on the offensive line and give them weapons? Because the Giants did for Eli. They had a good young – they had a great veteran line for the first 6 years. Phillip Rivers had talent, and Ben Roethlisberger had the defense. Let's be honest. Big Ben had that elite defense with Jerome Bettis. Rivers had with Damian Tomlinson and Gates and Vincent Jackson, and then Eli had a running game, a good offensive line, and playmaking ability when it mattered the most, really. So,
all right,
should be fun.
So we got our weekly bet. Okay.
Love it.
Good to know. Joseph, as always.
Love it, Joey. Thanks, brother.
Always a pleasure, boys. Love you too. Catch you next
time. Ladies and gentlemen, did you know it was Friday the 13th?
Yes, I did.
Everybody be safe, please. This year has given us enough weird stuff this year. Let's be careful, everyone. It's November 13th, Friday the 13th. It's crappy out, my God. But I'm glad people are enjoying Keys of the City and following on your Friday afternoon. We are streaming on all social media platforms at Keys of the City. Comment, subscribe, like, or share. Clovercrest Media presents Keys of the City. We are out.
Yeah. Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness. In the making, double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, keys to the city, we unlocking the statements.
Streaming every Friday.